If you're a developer working on Linux, let's be honest, the command line is pretty much your home. But what if that home could be, well, a whole lot faster? Today, we're diving into a new tool called limux that's making a really interesting promise to give your terminal a massive GPU-powered speed boost.
Oh, you know that feeling. You're tailing a giant log file, or maybe you're watching a super complex build scroll by, and then it happens. Everything just grinds to a halt. The scrolling gets all choppy, and you get that super annoying delay between when you type and when you actually see the letters pop up. It's not just a tiny little annoyance, right? It can totally kill your workflow. And this quote from Dudarik.com just nails it. If you've ever tried to scroll through a Git log in a huge monorepo, you see those frame drops almost immediately. But here's the surprising part. It's not your shell, like bash or ZSH that's causing the problem. Nope. The real bottleneck is the terminal emulator itself, the program that's actually drawing all that text on your screen. So what's really going on under the hood here? Well, traditional terminals basically force your CPU to do two completely different jobs at the same time. It has to run the logic for all your commands, and it has to meticulously draw every single character and every color change to the screen. When you throw a ton of text at it, the CPU just gets overwhelmed. It can't keep up. You can really see the difference when you put them side by side. The old way, CPU rendering, just overworks the CPU. It's like asking it to juggle while also doing complex math. The modern approach, GPU rendering, is so much smarter. It lets the CPU focus on the logic, the thinking part, and it offloads all the drawing to the GPU, which, that's what a GPU is built for. It's a specialized chip that's designed to render graphics at insane speeds. Now, if this whole idea sounds a little familiar, well, it should. This is the exact same move that web browsers made about a decade ago when they switched from CPU to GPU rendering. It was an absolute game changer for how fast the web felt. And now finally, the world of terminal emulators is starting to catch up. And that brings us to the solution we're looking at today, limux. It's a really interesting new project that's trying to deliver all of this GPU-accelerated goodness in a package that's built from the ground up, specifically for Linux. So what is limux exactly? Well, the official description calls it a GPU-accelerated terminal workspace manager. And that last part is really key. It's not just a terminal. It has a built-in multiplexer. So if you've ever used a tool like tmux, you know exactly what this means. You can manage multiple sessions, you can split your screen into different panes, organize your work with tabs, all inside one single window. And it really is designed to be this all-in-one environment. Under the hood, it's using an engine called Ghosty for the OpenGL rendering. But for you, the user, that means you get cool features like persistent workspaces, super easy split panes and tabs, and it even has a built-in web browser. It's really trying to be the one-stop shop for your entire command line workflow. The keyboard shortcuts really tell the story of how this thing is meant to be used. You've got everything you need to manage workspaces, split your panes, and pop open new tabs all right there at your fingertips. This kind of keyboard-driven design is absolutely crucial for the kind of speed and efficiency you want from a serious terminal multiplexer. Okay, but let's be real here. Limux isn't just showing up to an empty party. The world of GPU-accelerated terminals is already booming with some fantastic, really well-established tools. So the big question is, where does a brand new project like limux even fit in? When you look at the landscape, you've got these heavyweights like Alacrity, Kitty, and Wezterm. They're mature, they're mostly cross-platform. Some, like Alacrity, are laser-focused on just being a fast terminal, while others, like Kitty and Wezterm, have that multiplexer built right in. Limux enters the scene with a pretty similar feature set, but it's making two very, very different bets. It's Linux-only, and it's brand spankin' new. Now, that Linux-only focus, at first glance, that might sound like a limitation, right? Why would you cut out other operating systems? But it's actually a very deliberate, very strategic choice, and it might just be the project's secret weapon. And the core idea is this. By not having to worry about Windows or macOS, Linux can integrate super deeply with the Linux system itself. It can just skip all that bulky generic code that you need for cross-platform support and instead talk directly to specific Linux kernel interfaces. That constraint suddenly becomes a huge potential asset for performance. But, okay, for all this potential, we gotta be realistic. This is a brand new project, and with any new project, there are some pretty weak question marks floating around. First off, it is early days, so stability, That's a big unknown. We don't really have specifics yet on what kind of GPU or drivers you might need. It's also not totally clear how it handles Linux's different display servers. The modern Wayland versus the classic X11, and right now the documentation on how to customize it is pretty sparse. As with any project this new, the official GitHub repo is going to be your single source of truth. So, when you pull all of this together, what's the big picture for a project like Limux? What is the core bet that it's actually making? And that leads us to what I think is the most interesting question of all. In a market that's full of these mature, do-everything, cross-platform tools, Limux is making a really bold bet. It's betting that a deep, optimized Linux-native approach can win. So could focusing on just one platform and trying to achieve perfection there, could that actually be its greatest strength? It's a fascinating strategy, and for that reason alone, it's a project that is definitely worth watching.